There are a lot of people who are trying to do what's right. And by what's right, they confuse what's correct with what's easy or comfortable or familiar. I know people are going to say, oh my gosh, you're a terrible Christian because Christ is literally called the Comforter. A lot of people sabotage themselves out of great relationships because the brain says, this is one of the keys to making a good decision. One of the ways I personally like to figure out if I'm making the right decision for me is I like to draw this little graph. On one side, I label it light. On the other side, I label it dark. Under the light side, I like to write the feelings down that show up when I'm aligned with truth, when I'm connected to my highest self, like gratitude, clarity, curiosity, peace, hope. Light is truth. And under the dark side, I list the emotions that usually show up when I'm aligned with fear or lies. That could be anxiety, doubt, despair, avoidance, fear, or even comfort. Now, I'm not saying comfort is evil. Comfort isn't evil, but comfort, when used as a compass, is the enemy of growth. And being in the comfort zone. I'm not saying emotions like peace are bad because they're comfortable. I'm saying that staying in the comfort zone is wrong if you're trying to grow. And if comfort is your guiding light, then you're not going to progress because your subconscious picks up on the idea that comfort is the priority here. A lot of people sabotage themselves out of great relationships because the brain says, I'm a lot more comfortable being single than I am dating. I don't know what it is. That's the unknown. That's scary. I'm so used to breakups. I'm so used to whatever it is. Does that make sense? And I don't think that comfort, the comfort zone, is the comfort that we talk about when it comes to Jesus Christ, the Comforter. Anyway, back to this graph. If I feel like I'm on the dark side of this graph in any situation, it tells me that I'm aligned with a lie. And that lie could be something simple like, somehow, some way, I'm not going to be okay. Somehow, some way, I doubt if I'm good enough. I doubt if I can do this. I doubt if I'm enough. Despair. The lie is, there's no hope. When you're aligned with the highest truth for you, you're going to feel things like gratitude and clarity and curiosity, faith. Those are the emotions that we want. We could call these the fruits of the Spirit. And so if somebody says, I prayed and I feel like I should break up with somebody, and I feel a lot of peace about that option, that's awesome. If you feel genuine clarity and peace, that's fantastic. Go and do that thing. But if you pray and you think, I should break up with this person, and I feel comfort, which is so similar to peace, you might think, oh, that's God telling me that I should break up with that person because that feels great. I feel, oh, that feels awesome. Some people think I prayed about this person, if I should marry this person or if I should date this person, and man, I felt like I shouldn't do it, and I do feel some clarity. Is it clarity or is it just the fact that you don't want to be holding the weight up anymore? If you are in a relationship, and it could be the right relationship, but it's difficult, it's going to feel like you're walking around with a barbell on your shoulders. And just because you have a barbell on your shoulders doesn't necessarily mean that it's the wrong relationship to be in. But then if you set that barbell down, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I feel like there was a weight lifted off my shoulders. I guess that relationship was never right in the first place. There are a lot of times when we're in a relationship and it's heavy and it's difficult, but just because it's heavy and it's difficult doesn't necessarily mean that it's the wrong relationship for you to be in. Sometimes there are just hard things that you have to go through. Any married couple who has made it through a lifelong happy relationship is going to tell you there are really, really difficult things that they had to go through. And so some people, they get into a relationship, even if it's a good one, there are still trials and they feel like they're cargando. They feel like they're carrying, portando. What is the word here? Carrying? It feels like the relationship makes them feel like they've got a barbell on their shoulders. And anytime they set that barbell down, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I feel some sense of relief. Oh my gosh, I feel so good finally being out of that relationship. As an avoidant person or somebody who leans avoidant, guess what? If I get out of a relationship, I usually feel some relief. I don't have to worry about somebody else's emotions or anything else. That is a weight off my shoulders, but that doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. And so keep carrying that weight. I just don't want people to think, oh, because I prayed about letting go and the thought of like being single again brought me a lot of peace and comfort. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right thing to do. Like I said earlier, for example, if I had done what came naturally to me in my own relationships, I would never have gotten married because before I married my wife, I remember one time riding my motorcycle home, feeling all kinds of anxiety about the relationship. And I started kind of spiraling, thinking like, maybe this relationship isn't right. Maybe I need to break up with her. Maybe God's trying to warn me. Maybe da-da-da-da-da, right? Because that's what we're taught. We're told if you feel peace, then it's from God. If you feel anxiety, then something's off. But I pause and I ask myself, okay, I'm feeling anxiety. I'm on the dark side, right, of this spectrum, that means that I'm aligned with a lie somewhere. So what's the lie? This is one of the keys to making a good decision. If you're feeling anxious, ask yourself, what's the lie? And for me, the lie was, I'll never fit in with her family. Now, if I sit with that belief, yeah, I feel anxiety. If I think about not fitting in with her family, I still feel anxious, but that doesn't make it true. In fact, the reason I feel darkness is because that thought is not aligned with the highest truth. There are a lot of people, a lot of clients that I've worked with, they think, oh, well, I felt anxious and so I never went back. Oh, I felt anxious and so I never tried again. I don't think anxiety is a good indicator that something is right or wrong, because your brain is going to repeat what works. And if you felt anxious in a social situation because you didn't want to be in that social situation and the anxiety made you leave, then the brain says, oh my gosh, anxiety worked. It got me out of the social situation that I didn't want to be in. By having a panic attack, I was able to just leave. I think that sometimes the best things in life are on the other side of what makes us anxious. I was really, really anxious about getting married, but that was really good for me. I think revelation is so important. And that's why I come back to this. Okay, if you feel light, like gratitude, clarity, curiosity, peace, or hope, that means you're probably aligned with the highest truth. If you feel dark, it means that you're probably aligned with a lie somewhere. And asking the question, where's the lie, is going to be so helpful for you. Saying, okay, where's the lie? I want to go on this trip, but I kind of feel anxious. Okay, where's the lie? Well, I feel anxious because I feel like I'm not going to fit in with the group of friends that I'm going with. Okay, that would cause some anxiety. If you're feeling stressed or anxious, don't just write it off immediately as something's not right. Ask yourself, is there a lie here that's making me feel this? Now, if you have a bad feeling about going on a date, again, ask yourself, do I have a bad feeling about going on this date because something's actually wrong? Or do I have a bad feeling about going on this date because I'm just scared of dating and dates stress me out? Natural intuition is so important. That's why this is such a hard concept to teach. I just don't want you to sabotage a good job opportunity or sabotage a relationship that's awesome just because you feel anxious about it or you feel like God told you that it wasn't right. I think too often it's just your subconscious. This is a tough one to teach because it's too nuanced. There's no definitive black and white answer, right? Just be very, very conscious about this. A lot of people let their negative emotions guide them. They think that something like anxiety means wisdom, or they think that avoiding fear is peace. But avoiding those emotions at all costs is what keeps people stuck. We don't grow from what feels safe. We grow from what feels aligned. Does that make sense? Another thing is a lot of people think excitement means that it's right. They're like, oh, I feel excited about this guy. Oh, I feel excited about this girl. Oh, I feel excited about this, whatever it is. I love feeling excitement and I chase feeling excitement, but don't confuse excitement with revelation either. I'm making this video so complicated, but a lot of people think I'm excited about gambling. That doesn't mean it's right. Oh, I feel really excited about pornography. Excitement and enthusiasm can feel great and they can be good indicators of good things, but it doesn't mean that it's divine. Because if somebody feels a prompting to buy like a lottery ticket, for example, and they're buzzing, they're like, yes, I'm pumped. God told me to buy that lottery ticket. That doesn't mean that that's true. That's just dopamine. That's desire. It's not alignment. Excitement doesn't always mean yes. Some people let excitement be their source of revelation and they feel excited about it. They think it must be right. And I think that's one of the reasons that we have created a culture that celebrates and seeks dopamine so much. But maybe excitement and peace are not the same thing, and they're not even similar. This is a different way of explaining it. Hopefully this will make more sense. Think about working out. For some people, their default, their natural is not working out. So if they work out, they're sore, it hurts, they're tired. What feels right to them is staying home, not going to the gym, and staying exactly where you are. They maintain the lifestyle. They avoid the challenge. But then you have some people on the other side of the spectrum who don't feel like they're enough or good enough unless they're in pain. They work out so hard. They overtrain. That's what feels natural to them. And that's struggle. And they end up hurting themselves and it's hard to maintain, right? It's hard to maintain that kind of pressure. So which is healthy? Staying home from the gym or working out until you die? Neither one. Because comfort isn't truth and struggle isn't truth. Again, it's alignment. Is this aligned with me? Does this push me towards my long-term goals? So no, I'm going to say don't go with the flow all the time. Just because it's natural doesn't mean it's right. Just because it's natural probably means that your subconscious is in charge and it's trying to take you where is natural. And natural doesn't mean progress every single time. Ask yourself, is this peace or is it just what I'm used to? Is it peace or is it familiarity? Is this fear or am I being wise? Am I aligned with truth or just aligned with survival? The goal in life isn't to do what feels natural, comfortable, or easy. The goal is to do what's true. So if you're wrestling with a big decision right now, take some of these things into consideration. I know this was complicated. Don't just ask how you feel. Ask, what side of the graph am I on? Am I aligned with light and truth, or is this a lie? Also remember the importance of agency to God. Don't let God become a crutch. I would encourage you to consult with Him in all things. And if you get an answer that's genuinely from God, not just your subconscious trying to maintain the status quo, then definitely follow that inspiration. I love seeking personal revelation. I love seeking God's inspiration. And honestly, that's what's brought me the most success in my entire life. But do what you can to learn how to distinguish God's voice from your subconscious that's just trying to survive. Because you are made for more than safety. You're made for truth, and that is going to take courage. Okay, I'm just going to do what I can to sum up. I had a list, there's a teleprompter here with some bullet points that I was trying to go over. I'm just going to go completely off script and just try to sum up this entire video. There are a lot of people who are trying to do what's right. And by what's right, they confuse what's correct with what's easy or comfortable or familiar. So some people are familiar with comfort, some people are familiar with struggle. And because they're familiar with those things, they try to maintain those things. They'll get into a relationship and they're like, oh, this is way easier than my last relationship, and they're going to feel confused. I had a client who was in abusive relationship after abusive relationship, and she started working with me and started dating somebody else who was actually a really good guy. And every time she would talk to me about him, I was like, those are really green flags. That's a good thing. And she started sabotaging the relationship because it didn't involve enough struggle. Different story with a different client. They've gotten into a relationship and they're like, wow, this is hard. This is tough. It must not be right. And they break it off. And it's like, look, just because it was tough or different or difficult doesn't mean that it's not right either. Struggle's not a good guide, and comfort and the comfort zone is also not a good guide. And so do what you can to try to distinguish. Am I listening to God's voice and what's actually true for me and what's actually in alignment with what's best for me long term? Or am I listening to the comfort zone? If you feel anxious, ask yourself, do I feel anxious because I think something bad is about to happen and that's a real thing, that's a real concern? Or do I feel anxious because it's just a defense mechanism to get me out of uncomfortable situations? Man, that's going to get a lot of hate. Don't use anxiety as a crutch. Don't use God as a crutch. Make your own choices. Be bold. Strive for what you want. See if something is aligned with you and push for it.